What if I told you that trading the best trading system is the wrong approach? Today, I'm going to show you a technique I call swarm mode, and it could completely transform your trading. Hi, I'm Jeff Swanson, and I have over 2 decades of experience in the futures market. If you've been developing trading systems for any length of time, you've probably run into this problem. All of your hard work in optimizing and testing, you don't end up with just one great system. Instead, you are left with multiple variations that all look really promising. And that's where swarm mode comes in. It's a simple yet powerful concept that lets you trade multiple systems simultaneously, giving you instant diversification without increasing your overall risk. When developing trading systems, you are often faced with what I call the just pick one trap. What do I mean? Well, let's walk through an example. Recently, I was working on improving Larry Connor's popular two-period RSI strategy for the S&P 500. The basic concept is simple. Buy when the two-period RSI falls below 30, indicating an oversold condition, and then selling when it rises above 70. This is a very common strategy and very simple, but it works rather well. Here is the equity curve. You can see that this generates some solid results, but we can definitely improve it. Now, as a reminder, the highlighted blue part of the equity curve is the out of sample, and we can see some large drawdowns in that area. We can also speculate by maybe adding another filter, a stop, or a different exit. Maybe we can improve the performance. But here's where things get tricky. When I ran, the Connors two-period RSI through Build Alpha and tested different parameters and filters, I just didn't get one clear winner. Look at all of these. I tested stop loss values, hold times, complementary filters, and the result, oh, there's a whole collection of promising looking trading systems. And, the traditional approach would be to analyze each of these results, select one that appears to be the most robust system, and disregard everything else. So the question is, how do I know I picked the best one? Which one is going to work better going forward? Well, I don't know. So that is the problem. This is precisely where most traders make a critical mistake. By choosing just one system, you're essentially placing all your eggs in one basket, ignoring valuable alternative approaches that might perform better as the market conditions change. So think about it. How do you know which version is going to work on the live market moving forward? We don't know. So what's the solution to the pick just one trap? Well, I call it swarm mode. And in technical terms, this is a form of ensemble trading, similar to machine learning techniques known as bagging or bootstrap aggregating. But I think swarm mode sounds better, don't you think? So the core concept is simple. Instead of selecting a single system, we're going to deploy multiple variations of our core trading strategy at the same time. Here's what makes this approach so powerful today. Micro contracts. Traditional futures contracts, even the E-mini contract, often requires significant capital to trade. But micro contracts, at 1/10 the size of the E-mini, create an opportunity to rethink our approach. Let's say you were planning to trade one E-mini S&P 500 contract with your two-period RSI strategy. With micro contracts, you could instead trade 5 different variations of that strategy, each with 2 micro contracts. The total position size remains equivalent to one E-mini, but now your approach is diversified across multiple system variations. Your overall risk exposure hasn't increased, but you've gained significant diversification benefits. Why is this beneficial? Because we simply don't know with certainty which system variation will perform best going forward. Even the most promising backtest can falter in live trading due to changing market conditions or other unseen factors. By trading a swarm of systems, or a group of subsystems, I like to call it, you're acknowledging this uncertainty and creating instant diversification within your core trading concept. Now, this is the same principle that powers ensemble methods in machine learning, where a collection of diverse models often outperform any single model. Now, the beauty of swarm mode is that it doesn't require you to be right about which system is best. It just requires that your core concept is sound. When market conditions shift unfavorably for one system variation, another in your swarm might thrive in the exact same conditions. So let's get practical now and talk about how do you implement swarm mode in your own trading. I'm going to walk you through the exact process I use to create a diverse swarm of trading systems. Step one is to start with a solid core concept. In our example, that's the two-period RSI strategy. That has proven to work for years. Your core concept should have proven merit well on its way before starting to create variations. Here we are inside of Build Alpha, and this is what I'm going to use for performing this experiment. The historical data we're going to use is from 2006 through 2022. Everything after the year 2022 will be unseen data that will help us validate our final system. I'm going to uncheck this, and everything else here looks okay. If you're not familiar with Build Alpha, I don't want to turn this into a demo of that. I just want to highlight that Build Alpha is a data mining tool, but you can also code up a strategy. And what we did here, if I come under here, under RSI, when the two-period RSI is below 30, we buy, and when it rises above 70, we exit. And I am going to turn this off. This is the maximum bars hold. And if we go ahead and simulate that, I'm going to move to the out of sample data. This gives us our performance report. Here is the equity curve. So this is the equity curve of just the baseline strategy. So we have this now configured and ready to go in Build Alpha. Step two is to generate multiple variations on this core concept. We're going to take our base strategy and we're going to attempt to test different filters, parameters, and exit conditions. The goal isn't to find a single best system, but to identify several distinct approaches that all perform reasonably well. All right, before we test other filters, I do want to clarify that the light blue line here, or purple line, is the in sample. The kind of highlighted one here is the out of sample. All right, so that is our baseline system. What we're going to do in Build Alpha, and this is a real cool feature of Build Alpha, you can take a core trading system concept like we have here, the two-period RSI by Connors, and what we can do is tell Build Alpha to start data mining other complementary filters. So what I'm first going to do is actually check off this little option here, and this is going to generate some possible stop losses. I also, I like to trade with stop losses, so I'm going to use an ATR of 4, and it's going to test 4, 6, and 8 ATRs as a stop loss. I am then going to go to all of our legacy indicators, and down here I'm going to select all. And so now it's selected 3,900 different indicators, moving averages, day of the month, Bollinger Bands, Keltner channels, CCI, ADX. And what Build Alpha is going to do is data mine through all of those, attaching those to our core idea. Under the settings here, I told Build Alpha to go ahead and look for only one filter. So we have our core idea. The two-period RSI must be below 30. And I told Build Alpha to look for one additional filter that will improve our performance. I also told it to apply various stops to see what works. But I'm not done. I'm going to go under parametric. This is another set of indicators. I'm going to select all of those. I am now up to 4,713 different indicators that this will look at. Let's go and simulate our systems here. Build Alpha is now testing those different stops and filters. It's really fast, and it generated this performance report. This is, or I should say, this summary of all these performances. So this is in sample, this is out of sample. I'm going to look at all of them. So the in sample and out of sample combined, I'm going to organize it by net profit versus drawdown. And here is the first one. And what you can see here is it attached a Keltner channel with a ATR of 8 for the stop loss. And what we're going to do is take a look at that equity curve. That looks pretty good, right? So in this case, what I would do is I would just save this off by adding it to the portfolio in Build Alpha. I kind of see the portfolio in Build Alpha as simply a holding place. Now, we want to go and select other indicators. So, or I should say, other systems with unique indicators. So that used a Keltner channel, but this one down here, we can see it found a cluster of them using the Hurst moving average. I believe that's what the Hurst is. And let's take a look at that one. That one looks pretty good as well, too. So I would go and add that to the portfolio. And we can come down here. Here's another one using internal bar strength, and we would record that one as well. I would then go through, like you saw here, and try to pick 2 to 4 different strategies that look pretty good. Once you've exhausted that or pulled out a couple, what you'd want to do is then let's change some of the parameters over here. Let's change the maximum number of holds. So the maximum number of bars to hold. I'm now telling Build Alpha, not only do we want to look at exiting when the RSI reaches 70 or above, let's have a max hold time of 1 with a step of 1. So it's going to test 1, 2, and 3. Let's simulate that. The idea here is we're going to generate strategies that have different exits. And we can see, let's move this to all and organize by net profit versus drawdown. Yeah, see here we have a 52-week high and low as a filter. And also it's going to exit on a max bar of hold of 3. Wow, that one looks really good. So I'm going to add that to our collection. So again, I'll march through here, select a couple good ones that I like. Maybe what I'll do is close this out. And instead of doing the fitness function of net profit versus drawdown, I'll do one of like t-test or system quality number or whatever. In other words, I want to generate some variety here, right? Not only are we looking at different filters, but we're going to look at different exit techniques, hold times, stop losses. We could do trailing stops. And also I've been changing the fitness function. Again, we're trying to get a variety of different systems. And I'm collecting those into this portfolio, which is just a holding location. And what I'm going to do is go through these and manually select, let's pick 5 good ones. And from there, what we can do is then start combining those in TradeStation into our final swarm. Step 3 is to determine your position sizing. If you would normally trade one standard contract, consider trading maybe 2 micro contracts, 2 micro contracts for each subsystem in your swarm, assuming you have 5 subsystems. This maintains your overall risk exposure while spreading it across multiple approaches. Now, clearly, you have to divide your swarm into increments that's going to work, right? In our case, in the futures market, the micro contracts are 1/10 the size. Thus, we have to create a number of subsystems that cleanly divide into 10. So we could have 2, 5, or 10. This provides equal weight between our subsystems. Here we are in TradeStation, and I picked 5 unique subsystems from the strategies that we developed in Build Alpha. I picked 5 because of the position sizing. I was thinking of dedicating one contract, one standard E-mini contract, but now we're using swarm mode. If I use 5 unique strategies or 5 subsystems for my strategy, I'm going to dedicate 2 micro contracts for each of these. So this will trade 2, this will trade 2, this is 2, this is 2, and this is 2. So that gives me a total of 10 micro contracts, which is going to equal 1 mini contract. All right, so that's how I figured this out and why I picked five. And I just went through and picked five that I thought looked pretty good. You might be able to load these all into different charts and then use some type of correlation to determine which ones work best. I didn't do that here. I just kind of eyeballed it and see which ones worked well. The other thing I did here is I moved this to the all out of the unseen data. So everything here you see is unseen data. In other words, it's 2023 up to the present day of this recording, which is February 28th of 2025. So if we take a look at the performance report of this particular strategy, strategy one here, we can see it performed well. And this is on all, again, unseen data. Here's the next one, a little more choppy. And here we go again. And here's another. We can see that they're all different, and we don't know which one is to trade, which one is going to produce the best results moving forward. So that's why we're going to trade these all in one system. So in TradeStation, I went ahead and combined these into one chart so we can see what it looks like trading one particular chart. We can see that we have different areas where six are purchased. Over here, we can see we bought four. Over here, we bought 8 contracts. So you can see the systems are going to be firing at different times, sometimes picking up 2 contracts, sometimes picking up 8 contracts, and then exiting at different times as well. So if I zoom in over here, we can see this particular one purchased 6 contracts and then exited once here and then exited more contracts here. It exited 4 there and 6 here. We can also see that some entered at different times. If we zoom in over here, we had 8 contracts by there, and then we had 2 more by here, giving us a full house at that point. And they all exited at this point. So again, these are all working independently with entering and exiting, and this is the performance report that we get. Here is the equity graph, I should say, and this is the performance report. Let's take a closer look at that. All right, here are the results in this table. We can see across the top we have system 1, system 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at the far right-hand side, we have our swarm. So we can see if we just look at the net profit that our swarm is somewhat in the middle there. Remember, we have systems 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We could have traded each one of those individually, right? We could have like, oh, system 2 I'm going to trade, or system 5 I'm going to trade, and trade your one contract on the E-mini. However, we don't know which system was going to work best. And we could see that doing the swarm technique here allowed us to get a generous amount of profit. But notice the net profit versus drawdown, which is the very last number in our table. It has a 5.1. That is our risk adjusted return. Look at our max drawdown of 12,773. This is what made this combination shine here is we had respectable amount of profit. We really reduced our drawdown. Now, look at the average profit per trade. This is something that the swarm will do. It's going to be taking more trades and it's going to be doing it on those micro contracts. Therefore, we are going to be making less per trade, but we're going to be making a lot more trades. So there is some trade-off here. I think it's a very interesting concept, and it really provided benefit by giving us a better risk-adjusted return. Yeah, so that is swarm mode, and I think it's really a great idea. Combining these into one unique strategy where we have unique entry points and unique exit points, but all based upon a core concept. All right, rookie mistakes. Mistake number 1, creating false diversity. Many traders select systems that appear different on the surface, but are actually, well, they're behaving quite the same. This happens when your variations use the same indicators or highly correlated filters. The result? You think you have diversification, but you're essentially trading the same system multiple times. We really want to avoid this. So analyze the trades and the exits, like the entry and the exit times. make sure that they're slightly different. If they're all getting in and out at basically at the same time, you don't have true diversity. Now, you could take this to the extreme and bring this into some type of spreadsheet that would explore the correlations. I didn't do that here. That may be a little bit of overkill, or maybe it's a good idea. I'll leave that up to you to decide. Mistake number two, position sizing errors. I've seen traders adopt this swarm mode, but they incorrectly size their positions. If you would normally trade one contract, you should divide that same risk across all of your systems. Don't trade each system at the normal risk level like you would, and just multiply your risk. Likewise, I wouldn't weight certain subsystems over others. I would give them equal weight. The whole point is we don't know which one is going to work going forward. Mistake number three. This is not a substitution for building out a portfolio of unique trading systems on different markets. This is a way to take a single strategy and reduce its risks. I treat a swarm as one system, and I think that's important to say. I treat a swarm as one system. So when I go to build my portfolio, I'm going to take my swarm RSI2 strategy and going to treat it as one system. You're still going to want to create many more trading systems across different markets and timeframes and trading styles to trade a portfolio of uncorrelated strategies. This doesn't replace that. What we're doing here is changing one system and using a swarm technique to help diversify within one system. So, in summary, this is not building a well-diversified portfolio. That's not what we're doing. Let's recap what we just covered about swarm mode trading. Now, the pick just one trap forces traders to discard valuable systems when multiple promising options exist. Swarm mode allows us to trade multiple variations of a single strategy simultaneously. Micro contracts make this approach practical by allowing more granularity in position sizing. This approach provides instant diversification within a single trading concept. Now, a collection of diverse systems often outperforms any single system over time. The core benefit of swarm mode is that it acknowledges the fundamental uncertainty of trading, right? We simply don't know which system variation is going to perform best in that live market. So rather than pretending we can predict this, swarm mode embraces this uncertainty and we turn it into an advantage. So by implementing multiple variations of a sound concept, we're going to set ourselves up for potentially, handling all that uncertainty the live market's going to throw at us. At least it's going to do most likely better than any single one system. So if you're tired of agonizing over which system to trade, I encourage you to give swarm mode a try with your own strategies. Start small, take 2 to 5 variations of your best systems and create a swarm of systems with those. Did you like how I use Build Alpha? I have a video demonstration below this video in the description that will show you how I use Build Alpha in more detail. All right, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.